this is our agenda for this evening. So pizza and beer with Chalmus. I can see all the pizza is gone. And then we're going to talk about a little bit around the upcoming events and then what's new in the Azure since last time we met. And then our main session around using the cognitive services to building a descriptive virtual assistant by Somi. So upcoming events, specifically with the app dev focus in Sydney. So one of the main important one is the NDC Sydney, which is happening this month, 14 to 18. It's it's a full day conference. First 2 days is the workshop and 3 days is the conference call. So this is very content rich and very important for the dev community. So if you are a developer, you can join and benefit from all the contents available in the Sydney, and few top leaders and thought leaders from the industry also joining and having sessions like a keynotes, workshops, and everything there. So this, I'm not quite sure if there is any ticket left, but you can check and you can buy the tickets and join the events. That's a great event for developers anyway. Then there is a evening session, very casual evening session happening at the Reactor in 2 weeks, 16th of October, around talking about all the UI capabilities in the, AI capabilities in the Azure and using the AI features offering from the Azure platform. So that would be great if you can join and have a chat with the community leaders and MVPs in this area. So they're gonna be there and you can bring on all the questions you have probably for the Azure AI platform. And there is a secret event happening on 20th of November. So we cannot share more details around that one, but we're gonna share some priority tickets with our Azure user group. And last month, Simon, not sure, last month we announced if probably you can get a chance to go into the draw if you join the dev community newsletter. So yeah, keep an eye on that one. So it's going to be announced soon, and it's going to be a very, very exciting event happening in November, late November. All right, and I'm Sam Levy from Telstra Purple, and let's see what's new in Azure since the last time we met. Before that, let's have a quick walkthrough around the Azure Services Lifecycle. So this is overall, this is the Azure Lifecycle happening on all Azure services. Usually they start with the private preview, very limited capacity, and normally you get invitation from the private channels. And the main idea around the private preview is basically sharing the initial release of the service with the community, with the private channels and Azure users via the private channels, and basically get the feedback from Azure users. And the main intention is forming the product team, helping the product team to form the product and basically see what are the real needs and requirements for the Azure users. So contributing to that is very important, and providing feedback to the product team also is important. And because it's private, definitely there is no SLA for those services. You won't get any official support, and normally they are free of charge. And then after a trial period in the private preview, they go into the public preview. So they make them normally available in all the Azure regions for all the public Azure users. So you can start exploring the product, exploring the new features coming with that service. Again, main intention is from the broader group of Azure users to gather feedbacks and shape all the future roadmaps for the product, and basically getting feedback from all the Azure users to see what are the real requirements for this service and how they can form it in a better shape. After a public preview for a shorter period of time, it depends on the service, and then it goes to the GA. In public previews, they're still the same, so there is no official support. They are not covered under any SLA, and normally they are free of charge. After public preview, they go into the GA. When it goes to the GA, it means it's production ready. So definitely they are covered up by SLA from the Microsoft, and so you get the official support, priority supports, and definitely you get charged for anything you use from those services. And time to time, product teams announce some deprecation for some of the services and products. So if that happens, you get enough window around what are the alternatives and what you can do with those services that's going to be deprecated. And normally minimum 12 months they put they set as a window for that one, and after that, that service is retired and replaced by another services. So this is the overall service lifecycle for every single service and products that you see in the Microsoft Azure platform. So what happened since last time we met in the private preview? HashiCorp console service basically is announced. It's in the preview beta at the moment. It's not directly from Microsoft Azure team, but that happens with the joint force working with the Microsoft Azure platform, HashiCorp and Microsoft Azure product teams. So they made that available in the Microsoft Azure. Now you can create and provision a HashiCorp console service as a managed cluster, fully managed cluster, directly via Azure Marketplace within all the regions available in the Microsoft Azure. And now you can start benefit from the, probably not benefit to a bit early because it's in the beta, but you can start exploring all the features they provide within the Microsoft Azure platform, and like service discovery and service mesh, which probably you can benefit from for a mix of services, different data centers, different cloud providers. You can manage all of them with the HashiCorp console, and basically the whole intention of this service is to put away all the barriers and burdens of the operational stuff which you can have for managing the console cluster. And you can leave all of them to the HashiCorp and Microsoft Azure team and just start using the service like many other past services and the services available in the Microsoft Azure. Few things happened in the public preview. One is the form recognizer got a mixed mode. So I think 2 months ago they added the form recognizer as a new AI capability to the Microsoft Cognitive Services set. So what you can do with form recognizer, you can use it to scan the forms basically, and it gives you a key value set of extracted data, and then you can use that data for different purposes and integration, which, as we mentioned before, for like scanning form, it can be for bills and like expenses and anything which is happening internally at the Microsoft at the moment. Now it got the mixed mode, which supports the handwritten text. So now if you put a form which contains both handwritten and printed text, you can use the form recognizer to scan all of them and get the data extracted for both of them. Azure policy support for auditing setting inside the Windows and Linux for the guest OS. Basically, it's based on the PowerShell DSC. Now they released the authoring tool, which you can use to define Azure policies based on the PowerShell DSC language and put them in the Azure policy to be applied to your virtual machine workload for both Windows and Linux. They are very good if you want to apply like a compliant in your virtual machine workload. And for example, there are different scenarios you can apply to control the configuration of your application, which is running in the virtual machines, both for Windows and Linux, and do some audit control around that. For example, if a particular setting in the IIS is missing, then you can get alerts or get notification and get audit also around that one. Or for example, if particular services need to be installed on that virtual machine and they are missing, or someone modified all those configurations, you can use this Azure policy for guest configuration to alter them, and you can test them from your development machine. You can publish them to the Azure directly, and definitely now you can plug them into any CI/CD pipeline with that, which is basically a PowerShell module. You can install it and start using that one for defining, testing, and publishing all those policies for guest configurations. Logic app with support for the Swift messaging. So Swift and Microsoft basically partner and entered into a long-term partnership to bring the Swift Cloud Connect or Swift Connect Cloud, no, Cloud Connect, I believe, end-to-end architecture and design into the Microsoft Azure platform, and very soon release it to the industry. So that will enable basically the cloud native payments happening in the cloud, and you don't need to deal with all the Swift deployment and integration, which probably is happening at the moment with your application. Now, very soon, I believe it's going to be offered by Microsoft Azure as a PaaS services, and you can have a native cloud payments supported by Microsoft Azure platform. Currently, Microsoft has started to use that one with Logic app, and basically they are testing internally with the Logic apps to have all their payments within the Microsoft happening to one of their American banks, and the POC they have done is successful, and now they're gonna work on that one to make that available very soon, which is public preview for Logic app is available for everyone, and then will be available soon for GA, probably with other improved features. Azure Private Link is kind of interesting service, which basically the main intention is to make all the networking flow and the data flow for using the Azure services totally internal within the Azure backbone without any data exposure to the internet. So it means using the Azure Private Link, it guarantees that none of all your data is gonna face the internet, and everything, even if for the PaaS services, if you use this one, everything's gonna happen internally with all the private IP addresses for all the services like Azure Storage, probably Azure Key Vault, and Azure SQL Server. And Azure SQL, and basically it reduces the data exposure to the public internet, which is very important in the shared and multi-tenant environment. Because currently, if you want to restrict those services, you need to use service endpoint, for example, but service endpoint is just still going through the internet and using the public IP addresses to restrict all those services. But with Azure Private Link, they're going to improve that to totally everything happens in the Azure backbone. Anyway. Azure Storage using the delegation SAS tokens is a new feature based on the recent announcements which happened for Azure Storage, which was controlling the Azure Storage access via the RBAC enabled and powered by Azure AD. Now you can use these new features to basically have a create a delegation of SAS tokens for creation of the SAS tokens for using the Azure Storage. And the big benefit of this comparing with the existing SAS token is even some users with the limited privilege can create a SAS tokens even with the from their subset of access and permissions for other users and basically for the third person. For example, if you already have a RBAC access to a storage account with like just access to the blob and containers, then you can create a delegated SAS token for someone else which needs to have an integration and give them read-only access to those blob and containers. And some sort of this which is basically simplifies the giving the access for the Azure storage. Media Indexer, which is part of the Azure Media Services, get two exciting features, which is animated characters and the multilingual support. So far, all the Media Indexer in the Azure basically only works for the human, and the basically AI and machine learning, which powers that one, is based on the Azure Custom Vision service. But Azure Custom Vision service is built based on the human features, and it's very good for detecting characters, and which is with basically that has human features. But now they empower it to support the animated characters. And for example, if you want to do an indexing in a video for a SpongeBob, now you can do that easily, because they powered that to support the animated characters with the Media Indexer, and you can detect that and put an index on that one. Also multilingual support, which currently now so far you have to set, for example, if you want to do the transcribing for the video, you need to set which language you want to do that. But now with this new feature, it automatically detects the spoken language from the video, and then do the multilingual support for transcribing or translation with those languages. One of the good example could be like a news conferences, which is happening between like different presidents, or like imagine the G8 news conference or sessions, which probably different language is going to be taught, and this one can support. And then at the end, you can get the transcribe of the video in different categories, in different language. For example, this section is the Spanish, this section is French, this section is English, and so on. Few items went GA. One of them is Azure Storage 1.10, which is one of the biggest release in the Azure Storage Explorer, with many improvements to work with the Azure Storage accounts, Azure Cosmos DB, and now they support the managed disk. With this version of the Azure Storage Explorer, now you can browse all available the Azure disk in your Azure subscription, and basically go through modifying their attributes, or if you want to copy the Azure managed disk, which so far was a bit pain. You need to deal with a bunch of PowerShell scripts or Azure CLI to do that. Now it's easy to use Azure Storage Explorer. And another big improvement with this release is basically they centralize all the user settings and everything with the Azure Storage. And also notice they added dark theme, which is great. I don't know if it was in this release or maybe in previous releases, but everyone gets a dark theme, which is good. Azure Edge Site launched in the Auckland in New Zealand. So anyone knows what Azure Edge Site is? Azure Edge Site is kind of subset of Azure Data Center. They are not real Azure Data Center. Basically, they are local data connectors with the commercial internet access. And the main intention is to reduce the latency for that region. So with establishing Azure Edge Site, Microsoft guarantees that you can get the lowest latency in that region and in that area. For example, there is no Azure Data Center in the New Zealand, but now with this launching this new Edge Site in New Zealand, you can make sure that all the communication from the New Zealand users to all the Azure application, all the application and services hosted in Azure is happening with the lowest latency. Before this, probably all has to route to the probably nearest region, which was Australia, and happened there, but now they're trying to reduce those. And that's the whole benefit of using the Azure Edge Sites. Azure Cosmos DB getting the built-in Jupyter Notebook supports. Anyone knows what Jupyter Notebook is? Jupyter Notebook is an open source web application, very good for using and generating a statistical report and applying machine learning and the AI to your data. Now it's come as a built-in feature to the Cosmos DB. That means if you host your data in your Cosmos DB with any API, doesn't matter, it's a Cassandra API or MySQL API or DocumentDB or SQL API, now you can store any type of data in your Cosmos DB, and then you can use the built-in Jupyter Notebook to apply some machine learnings on on those data and do some analysis, a statistical analysis, do some data science job on those data, and all those kind of things which you can do with the Jupyter notebook, and which is great to have that one as a built-in feature. And they added three different regions in Germany, and which is great now for all the European users and basically for German users if they are concerned about the data residency in the Germany. And one of the big benefit of this is basically they're gonna support the SAP HANA directly from the Germany and provide that from these regions. That's it for now. I think it's still going a bit quiet, but next month, because of the actual Microsoft Ignite happening in the 4th to 8th of November, so probably next month and December gonna be a big bunch of announcements, 5 to 8 slides we're going through. But anyway, Microsoft Ignite, the actual one in the US is happening 4th to 8th of Ignite. As usual, I'm sure they're gonna have live streaming if you want to join for like keynotes and main sessions. But you can register for the Australian tour. Australian tour is happening in the 13th and 14th of February next year. So now you can register on this address to get notified when the ticket purchase is available. It's gonna be free, but at least you need to register yourself and get the ticket for the event. Azure Dev Community Newsletter is a great newsletter coming from community, powered by Simon. Great work Simon and his team doing around this one. It's very content rich, focus is app dev and basically what you can do on the Azure, but not for any platform, any stack, and any language you are using in your development stack. That's you're going to benefit from that one, and definitely join that newsletter, which is weekly, monthly. And yeah, as usual, Microsoft Learn, a great resource set for all the Azure resources, and if you want to learn in different levels from basic to advanced topics in the Azure services. And Microsoft Meetups, which is they're running here by the Microsoft Reactor itself, and they do learn and launch and different meetups. If you can join their meetup page, that would be great, and you can get notified from the different events and sessions they do and they run here. I think they already launched 3-4 really great sessions for happening this month and next month already, October and November. Yeah, definitely check them out. And that's it. Any question for me, for Simon, or anything? No? All right. We'll do a quick change for probably 5 to 10 minutes, and then we have Somi from Telstra Helper and X Cloud Solutions to basically talking us through about using Azure Cognitive Services and how you can use them to build a virtual assistant using all those services. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining this evening for this session. My name is Sami Ayazi, as Sam mentioned as well. I'm a development consultant, and I'm here tonight to talk about some of the Azure Cognitive Services, and I'm going to show you how to quickly build a descriptive assistance with those services. So what we're going to talk about tonight, first a little bit about myself. I've been in software development for more than 15 years. I have a developer background, and at the moment I'm a development consultant at Telstra Purple. Used to be Cloud Solution, which I was part of the Cloud Solution, which now is part of Telstra Purple. So the agenda for tonight is to see who can actually do this. And I'm going to tell you a story about myself, and I'm going to share the journey that I had to get to a point to build these services. And then I'm going to give you an overview of the services that I use. I'm going to specifically talk the one that I use tonight. I cannot cover all the cognitive services because each requires its own series of sessions to go through to. And then we're going to see a demo. Hopefully it's going to work, and then we're going to wrap it up with a good QA session. So let's see who can do this. So I'm going to give you a little bit information about myself. I'm a consultant, and being in consultancy gives me the opportunity to wear different hats based on my skill set, based on my career interest. So before starting to learn cognitive services, I was at the client side for almost 20 months, and I was a team leader. I was a scrum master there. I was away from coding for like 20 months. And when I finished that engagement, I wanted to get back on coding. I had a little knowledge of Azure. I have done project with AWS, but I haven't worked Azure at all. So it was a really challenge time for me to get back on coding and being able to go on client side and deliver and perform the tasks that I needed to do. So when I finished that engagement, I asked my managing consultant to put me on a project to start coding again, because I missed that coding and I was away for 20 months. I needed to refresh my skill set to be able to go out and perform my job. I got a chance to work on cognitive services, and it was a jump start for me. So it really helped me to learn in a quick way and being able to understand the whole cognitive services. So I'm going to show it to you how I got there. So as I said, I had minimum knowledge of Azure. I knew about it because I'm working in a cloud consultancy, so I hear about these things a lot, but I haven't done a real project with it. So for me, it was a challenge that I put myself in with the help of other people to go through to. So now let's talk about, you will see that how it was for me, and you can see that it was really simple for me to get on board with the cognitive services and start using its feature. Okay, I'm going to talk about the service itself, and then we're going to talk about the services I used, and then we'll carry on with the demo. So the cognitive services, there are a bunch of artificial intelligence API. There are RESTful API, which means that regardless of your platform, regardless of skill set, the language that you use, you still can easily hook to those APIs. So you don't need to, you are not dependent on any environment, you're not dependent on any language that you're using. So if you're an iOS developer, if you're an Android developer, or you're using, building a Windows app, you still can easily hook into these APIs and start using those capabilities and features that it has. So it's language and platform agnostic. And also, these APIs are already tested by experts in the market, so you don't need to worry about are they going to work or not they going to work. They've been supported, tested, and we are seeing lots of examples in real life, and we have applications that are working nowadays in real life that are based on these APIs. So it's really easy. The engine is built for you. You don't need to rewrite the engine. Everything is available at your hand reach. So why use Microsoft Cognitive Services? Because they are easy. REST API, you just need to call the API, use the connection string, and that's, here you go. You will be seeing lots of features and capabilities that you can, that depend on your need, you can use those features. It is flexible, as I mentioned, so it doesn't matter which environment or language you're using, which skill set you have. Even if, as I said, I had minimum knowledge, and I'm going to show you how I built that, and it was a matter of like few lines of code to do that. And as I said, it's been tested, and there are lots of resources available online that you can jump in. Microsoft.com, there are lots of community available. Even GitHub, there are a bunch of examples that you can go and see. Even in the Microsoft Online, the Microsoft documentation, you can find the codes and the how to get the step-by-step instruction, how to actually run your cognitive services and even the features that you want to use. And that's how I got to the point because I had no idea. I knew a little bit about it because I was going to different meetups. So I was hearing about cognitive services and AI, but I didn't know how they work. But I wanted to start without getting much help. So I jumped in online. I started reading through those documentation. It was pretty straightforward. It's, as I said, there are lots of capabilities. I'm going to talk about the main one that each service offers. And I could build what I'm going to show you today. It's not a fancy application. I just wanted to see how difficult it can be to build one of the apps that are out there. Because they keep saying that it's relying on AI, it's relying on machine learning. So I just wanted to see how challenging it is to start building something like that. So the services that I use, as I said, there are lots of AI services, but I'm going to talk about the ones that I use. So in my application, in my demo, I use Vision API, Speech API, and Language API. So Vision API is based on the Computer Vision API. It has a couple of APIs. One of the APIs that I use is called Computer Vision API, which lets you to analyze and detect an object in the image or a video that you have. So you can just pass a photo or video, it will index it for you, it will understand and try to analyze a photo for you. So it will detect face, it will also detect emotion from the faces that it has. It can also detect celebrities if it has like people that are known in the world. And also you can, I'm going to talk about a little bit more details around those capabilities, and we'll get through some of the examples that each capabilities has to offer. Using the Speech API, you can hear what the speaker says. You can convert that speech to text, and also you can do the other way around. You can convert text to speech. And using the Language API, you can identify and recognize what language has been spoken or it's been written, and also you can translate those languages to different languages. There are supported languages, I believe 6 languages you can convert to, but using the Text API, you have the option to convert to 16 languages. And I'm sure they will add more as they improve the services. Alrighty, oops, I go fast. Okay. So these are the main features that Vision API offers. As I said, Computer Vision API gives you the information around image. It identifies objects, backgrounds, faces, colors. It can detect or guess the person's age and gender, and it gives you lots of information. And as all these APIs are RESTful API, the response is JSON. So I'm going to show you the example and how easy it is to use those responses. It has video indexer, so it can smartly extract information that you need from the video, and you can index and you can tag to train your API to pick up the ones that you're after. And from the update that Sam told, they have improved. So you have the indexer that you can rely on using the video indexer on Vision API. As I mentioned, it detects face, so you can detect how many faces is in the photo. You can detect the celebrities if there are any in that photo. And the other cool things that I found is the content moderator. So you can filter out the inappropriate information. So you can detect inappropriate information on any image and also in any video. So if you are serving that to your customer, to your user, you can filter those information out using the content moderator. It is based on the preset of data that Microsoft put in, but the good thing is you have custom Vision API, which means that you can train your API. You can provide your own set of data, and you can start training your API to pick up, and based on the tags that you're asking it to pick up. So it will learn to mature as it goes based on the data that you provide to it. I'm going to show you some of the examples that I have later on. Am I going too fast? Okay. Speech API. These are the main capabilities of speech APIs. Speaker recognition, so it can identify how many speakers are talking, and it can identify which one. So if it start capturing those speeches, it will, if they're in a constant conversation, they can pick up the speaker 1 spoke, the speaker 2 spoke, so it can pick up different speakers during the conversation. You can In conjunction with the language API, you can use a translator and you can translate your speech while you're talking. It's not a real-time translation, and it's almost real-time. It's not a real-time. As I said before, so it converts text to speech and the other way around, and also it has the custom speech. So you can train your speech API to detect the voices that you want. For example, lots of apps out there, like mobile apps, it asks you to authenticate yourself using your voice when you're trying to enroll. So what they do, they actually create a voice profile for you, and they try to detect your voice. Next time you log in, so they authenticate you by hearing your voice. So they are relying on these kind of services to authenticate users and being able to identify if they are the same people. So one of the security questions that you might be asked when you're calling a bank, that might be that please say this in that. And then again, you can train your API using the example that I said. So you provide your own set of data, you provide your own set of like voices, different voices, and it would be able to pick up those voices as it matures. I talked about the language API, so it will pick up the language that is been spoken or it's been written, and also it can pick up the intent of the speakers talking. And it has, what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. And using the translator, you can use this in conjunction with the speech API and translate your text or speech. All right, out of those capabilities, the highlighted one are the ones that I'm using. So I'm using the text, handwriting or printed one using OCR. I'm using the text to speech, and also I'm using the text translation to translate the text that I captured from an image. Now I'm going to show you some of the examples that computer vision can detect. As I said, it really depends how you set up your, it's an API that you need to call. So it really depends how you define your headers, and it will give you the right JSON file as a response. The main things that it returns is the tags and description. So if you can see, we just provided this photo to the computer vision API. It's not trained, it's a default one, and it could capture different object that it could detect. It also captured a train, which is kind of a blurry one, and the caption says people waiting on the train station. And the good thing is it has the confidence level, so it's like 80% sure that it got the right image. And it also gives you the tag, and it gives you the confidence level of each object that it could detect. The good thing is using this with the custom API, custom vision API, you can use this tagging, and you can start indexing, and you can start training your API to do better next time. So by providing different images of trains, you can make it to work smarter. It could be able to detect different objects. And this information will help you a lot to understand how your API, your custom API is doing. The other example is this one. So if you see the confidence level of finding a black and white photo with the city was 90%, but it couldn't identify the skyscraper, which we can see. As I said, this is the default one. By training and giving it more images to be able to understand different type of buildings, next time it will the confidence level will go higher. The other one is the face one that I mentioned earlier. So same as the rest, you get this description and the different tags, and using the tagging you can index your API, and you can make it work better and more accurate. And it will detect, it can detect the emotion from the face as well. So in briefly, what computer vision does, it analyzes an image, it recognizes any written or printed text, and now we heard that it can recognize a mixed one as well. So you can just have a photo with the text on it, and we'll read it out for you. It also can recognize the celebrities, and how it does it, at the moment Microsoft put like 200K celebrities photos in the default version of the computer vision. But if you want to be celebrity, you can use the custom vision API, provide your photo over and over, and train your API to recognize you next time if it's in the network. The response that you're getting is a JSON file. So you can use those information pretty easily and quickly, and you can do whatever you need to do with your app or serve the need that you have for your requirement. So as I said, it will guess the age of the person that it detects, and also the gender of that person. And it detects different colors, and these are out of the box. There is no magic. You just need to call the API, and these are the information that you would get in an instance. The last one that I'm going to show you is the OCR. So that we gave this photo to computer vision, and this is what it returns. So it actually read the text for you, and it's a printed one. So I'm going to show you in the API header, you can define what type of test you're asking your API to read, whether it's a handwritten or printed one. On a speech API, so I'm going to play two different speeches, and the speech API is going to write those speech to text for us, and you can see the difference. I hope it's not too small, but let's see.
Show me all flights from Pittsburgh to Boston, both direct and connecting, that depart Pittsburgh after 7 p.m.
Sorry. Do you want me to play it again? Yes? Okay.
Show me all flights from Pittsburgh to Boston, both direct and connecting, that depart Pittsburgh after 7 p.m.
So I'm sure you could pick the more accurate one. So this is the base speech recognition, which is a default one. So it has some mistakes. The train one, the train version of the speech API could pick up more accurate information from the text. So it actually pick up the station, but this one couldn't do that. So what it does, the custom speech API will help you to filter out any background noises. So when you are out in the public, there are lots of noises coming out. So it's really important to be able to identify the speaker, filter out all the background noises, and be able to see what that person says, and then capture those information. Because if we don't filter out those background noises, we will get lots of talking coming from different sides, and the whole speech API will mess up. So as I said, using custom speech API, you can train. So it's not just about reading the preset data set that you provide to it. As it matures, it can pick up the new stuff from the new images or new voices that you put in. Going through the same thing, so it has a bunch of features. These are the main ones that I use. So it has text-to-speech and the other way around, and also you can translate your speech using in conjunction with the language API. So it can identify two different voices. So if it's in the conversation, you can tell who is talking and who's not talking. And as it goes, as you train your API, it will detect. So if you're speaking in the public or you're speaking in the room, if different people are talking or in the conversation, the custom speech API can detect person A talk now, person 2. So they might talk to each other at the same time and cutting each other when they're talking. So at the beginning, the speech API might not be as accurate, but as it matures, it will be able to understand different voices, different set of tone that each person has, and it will be able to pick up and identify the speakers. And also the intent of the speakers. So the speaker recognition, I just briefly mentioned about the apps, for authentication, it uses your voice to enroll. So what they do is they create a voice print for your profile. So when you enroll, they ask you to say something with your own usual voice and try to capture that voice, and they train the API to be able to detect that voice if it hears again. And they observe the confidence level of that API of the response to make sure that it matures and it gets more accurate during time. So as I said, in a nutshell, custom speech API, it helps you to customize your language and also the acoustic model. So it will help you to identify different speakers, because we talk different languages, we have different accents, so we'll be able to pick up those and differentiate those when next time it hears it. So it's actually you can tailor speech recognition by customizing it, by training it. Any questions so far? I want to jump into demo, but if you have any question, I'm happy to answer, or we can leave the question for the later time. Be good? All right. So that's what I did to understand about Vision API, Speech API, and Language API. What I wanted to do is, there is an app out in the market, which I'm going to show you later on. I wanted to see how difficult it can be to build something like that. There's an app called Sing AI. I'm going to show it to you, which help visually impaired people to be able to read or understand their environments. So I wanted to see how difficult it can be to build something like that. My app is not similar, the exact replica, but it's just a starting point. I wanted to see how they got that starting. So the example that I'm going to give you is, imagine you're going to a shop and you forgot your glasses. So you might not be able to see those small texts on the boxes, and you're allergic to something. You want to see what is written on that box. Either you have to ask somebody else to read it for you, or you have to take a photo zooming out and see if that allergy item or ingredient is in it or not. So these are the examples. Or even you travel to different country, you go to a shop, it's written in different languages. It's in Chinese, or it's in, I don't know, it's in German or any other languages, so you cannot understand. So it would be really cool to an instant be able to take a photo and it will translate it to your wanted language, or it will, I don't know, print out a text, or at least translate your text for you. So it can kind of solve your problem. I guess that's how Seeing AI was built. So my app is very simple. It's not an app. It was just a tryout for myself to see how it works. So this is how I build it. What I have is, I'm going to show you, it's only a web app which I put in Azure. So what I did was pretty simple. It's just one page, take a photo, upload a photo. What I do next, I upload that photo to Azure Blob Storage, because I want to use that photo later on. And then I pass that photo to Computer Vision API to identify if there is any text written on that photo. And then I used Speech API to, I used a Speech API to convert that text to speech. And I'm using Language API to translate that text to other languages that I want. And I'm using OCR to read the text, and I'm using the computer vision to analyze the image. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to jump into demo. It worked last time. Let's see if it works tonight. All right, I've got a bunch of stuff that I want to see if it can read it. Hmm? Yes, yes, I've got a dark chocolate, so. Okay. Let's pray first. Yes. Okay. So
yeah, I think you need to do something about your inbox.
I don't have time to read my email. All right. So Seeing AI is the app that I want to show you later on. So I don't want to set your expectations. So whatever you see, it's not Seeing AI. It's just a baseline. I just want to see how difficult it was to build something like that. So this is just a web app that I deployed to Azure, and this is just an ugly page that gives you two basic features. Upload your photo, which I'm going to take a photo. That should be good enough. I don't want the whole thing to. Okay. Did it? I should have cropped it, but it's fine. So I just put some of the information of that text. So these are all the text that it could read from the information. As you can see, I just appended text to each other. So I didn't give it any specific formats to, I don't know, split the headers and put like, even I didn't use the line break in it, but that's how I read it. So the next thing that I did was to give that text to the speech API and create a audio of it, and I put that audio back to blob storage because I wanted to reuse it. So I save it there so I can reuse it now. I'm going to play it. It's a long text, but you can see if it reads properly.
0.8 G.
Sorry.
3%. Carbohydrate 26.4 G. 9%. Sugars 84 G. 9%. Dietary fiber 2.8 G. 9%. 21. Sodium 84 milligrams. 4% 210.
Okay, I'm not
Made
going to
in
play
Australia. From at least 74%.
Okay, I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's a bit long and it's hard to hear. But as you could see, it's basically reading the exact text. You can, as you see, the voice, it's not like, it is a human person talking, but you can train your API to make it more humanized. But based on the, like, you can give a different tone if you want. It really depends how you set up your text. Because I just give it a plain text, it's reading as it sees it. So you can train your speech API and text API to be able to read it properly like a human voice. So, and it has the last bit, which contains any allergic stuff that it has. What I wanted to say, using the custom version, you can use tagging. You can put the specific ingredient, for example, that you wanted to search for. So you can say, okay, if I'm taking a photo from this box, I'm only after, like, I don't know, nuts. So if it has any nuts, just alert me or do something with it. So it can pick up the keywords if you predefine those ones into your API. And also, I translated that text to different languages. I didn't get time to put a voice on this, but I've translated to traditional Chinese and also Spanish one. I'm not sure if you have any, so we cannot verify how accurate it is because I didn't put the confidence levels in it as well. But what I mean is you can easily translate. So I just took a photo, used those 3 APIs, and I could get this much of information. So maybe the next step later on is if I'm speaking different language, I can do the translation first, and I can put that as audio, and I can let it read it out for me in different languages. All right.
How much training do you have to do for that?
None.
No
So no, I studied. I studied to do this.
So you have to train your models to get that to work.
No.
No models were trained in the making of this demo.
Sorry? I don't know. It gives you, part of the JSON response that it returns, it will tell you the confidence level, but I didn't put that in, so I don't know. But we can.
It looked okay in Spanish.
Sorry?
It looked okay in Spanish.
It looked like, okay, that's good. Yeah, every response that you get from this API, it has a confidence level. So with that, you can tell how accurate it was. It might not be 100% accurate, but with training your API, it will get accurate as it goes.
I think it depends on depth recognition first, because there are some like misspelling or anything. Like made in Australia is same as made in Australia.
Yeah, that's true.
So that will impact all the API calls, like SPs and all.
Where is that made in Australia in the whole text? Oh, okay.
I don't know, maybe the packaging has the same misspelling.
Should I try the chocolate?
It changed the orientation of the image. It's going to work.
Change the orientation of the photo? Yeah, I took the photo the other way around. It was different. Yeah, it doesn't matter how your photo is taken. It tries to detect the text using OCR.
There is text on the other side also. Is that
I don't know. I don't think that I could. Oh, they made in Australia, yeah. That one is like a bit confused. But when you're setting up your text API, you can define, in your header, you can define how you want your response to get back. So you can define, I want the tags, I want the description, and you can, I don't know, pick the bold text and then use them as headers, and you can use the normal text, and you can format your text in a better way based on the response that you're getting back. I didn't do that customization. This demo is like a few months old. I didn't get time to work on it further. But I'm going to show you the Seeing AI, the actual app, and you can see the difference. But though that app is built on the same engine that I used to build this one. Any other question? Yes? It will detect, so the computer vision will detect the emotion from the face. From the speech, it will detect the intent. I'm not sure about the emotion. Do you have? Yeah, I can check. It's a good question. I don't know. It's good for the like a conversational.
I tried to make it detect cloudy, and it wasn't able to detect that. Even though I speak it very well, but it wasn't able to detect that. So it must be somewhat standardized words. So even if you enter a word, or short enough.
Okay.
Can you scroll down a couple of lines to that image?
Sure.
Yeah, so he correctly detected the word sugar after 3 gigs, because in the original photo there was a bit of glaring over the...
On the first section. Yeah. I was curious to see if we can read it.
The word sugar has a little bit of glaring.
Yeah. Do you want me to give it another go? Or I'm going to show you the code, and we're going to do another example over there with a different type of photo, maybe smaller text. All right, that link is available, so feel free to jump in and use that link and try to upload different photos and see how accurate it is. As I said, it's a default version. It's not the customized or trained version of the API. So it's what you get out of the box. All right, let's jump back to demo. Sorry, I have that bad habit. Okay, where is this slide? Okay, I had a recorded demo in case the live one didn't work, but we can move on. So how I build it, let me show you the zone. So first thing I need to do, you need to create resource groups in Azure portal. So you just need to jump into Azure portal, and if you don't have an account, you can create an account, and it gives you like $200 free credit that you can use, and you can use the free version of the Azure. It has I use the free version, so it gives me all the information, all the capabilities that I needed to work with my API. But if you want to use more advanced or the like a business version of it, for some feature, it depends on the usage. You may need to like get more or apply for the different higher level of the subscription. So what you need to do, I had like 3 services that I used, the AI, so the computer vision, speech, and the language. So I created 3 resource groups, and also added those services to my resource group. I also created storage, blob storage, to store my picture and also the audio that I'm generating. And what you need to do, so that was on the portal, what you need to do, you just need to grab the connection string, and you need to grab the keys from the Azure portal, and that's it. You need to put those in your app setting and start reading it. It's just like connecting to the database and start reading from the table. So it's very easy to set up. On the code side, I'm not sure if it's visible enough, but as I said, it was just a matter of writing few lines of code. If you forget about the checking, the text appending, and those sort of stuff, those are the things that I did. The first thing, I just identified what sort of text I want my computer vision to read. So you have the option to read the printed one, and also you have the option to read the handwritten one. And as Sam mentioned, in the new version, you have the option to read the mixed one. So you can detect both at the same time, so you don't need to define two different headers for it. And then I called my API to just go, and so before doing that, I actually upload a photo to the Azure storage. I didn't put that in. So I passed the byte array or stream of that photo, and I'm asking my API to read that for me, or read any text from it. The next one was to convert that text to speech using the speech API. So as you see, I only needed to define the document, the body that I have, and also I needed to define the headers of the API. So it's all about providing and asking for the right information from your API, which we do with any other REST API that we use. So what I did was I needed a female person to speak for me. I needed to be in the English language, and this is what I passed to the header. So it's pretty simple. You just need to use your configuration setting and set up your header, and it will give you the answer. The last part was to translate that text. It's a bit small, I guess. Okay. What happened? Okay, it doesn't work on that one. Anyway, so for the speech API in your header, it's very small, but there are like tags that you can define the language that you wanted to use. So I put ES for Spanish, and ZH hands is the Chinese tradition. And as I mentioned, for the text one, you have the option to translate it to 6 different languages, and I'm sure they will add more. So I only used those, and that was the result that you could see. You try to translate whatever it's written on that text. And that was the only thing that I did. And then I called the API to do that for me. So the rest was pretty much easy and straightforward. I'm going to go through the code if we get time later on. I'm not sure if we get, but we'll go through the code, and if you guys have any question, we can go through that as well. All right. I put the code in Git. So feel free to go, jump in, download the code, and play around with it. And also, this is the link to the website. If you want to give it a go, feel free to do so. Okay. As I said, I got the idea from Seeing AI app. So I'm not sure if you guys heard about that app. Microsoft has put together something. This video is from a couple of years ago. So it was an initiative that Microsoft had a couple of years ago, and now it's in reality. So the future is here. I'm going to show you the video. I'm going to show you the app and show you how it works. But it's built based on AI and machine learning. So it's everybody can go in and start building and you can try out your ideas using these services without having lots of knowledge to do that.
I'm Saqib Sheikh. I lost my sight when I was 7, and shortly after that I went to a school for the blind, and that's where I was introduced to talking computers, and that really opened up a whole new world of opportunities. I joined Microsoft 10 years ago as a software engineer. I love making things which improve people's lives, and one of the things I've always dreamt of since I was at university was this idea of something that could tell you at any moment what's going on around you.
I think it's a man jumping in the air doing a trick on a skateboard.
I teamed up with like-minded engineers to make an app which lets you know who and what is around you. It's based on top of the Microsoft Intelligence APIs, which makes it so much easier to make this kind of thing. The app runs on smartphones, but also on the Pivot Head smart glasses. when you're talking to a bigger group, sometimes you can talk and there's no response and you think, is everyone listening really well or are they half asleep? And you never know.
I see two faces. 40-year-old man with a beard looking surprised. 20-year-old woman looking happy.
The app can describe the general age and gender of the people around me and what their emotions are, which is incredible. One of the things that's most useful about the app is the ability to read out text.
Hello, good afternoon. Here's your menu.
Great, thank you. I can use the app on my phone to take a picture of the menu, and it's going to guide me on how to take that correct photo,
Move camera to the bottom right and away from the document.
and then it'll recognize the text. Read me the headings.
I see appetizers, salads, paninis, pizzas, pastas.
Years ago, this was science fiction. I never thought it would be something that you could actually do, but artificial intelligence is improving at an ever faster rate, and I'm really excited to see where we can take this. As engineers, we're always standing on the shoulders of giants, building on top of what went before, and in this case we've taken years of research from Microsoft Research to pull this off.
I think it's a young girl throwing an orange frisbee in the park.
For me, it's about taking that far off dream and building it one step at a time. I think this is just the beginning.
And this app is available in the market, so feel free to download and play around with it. If you have time, we can quickly show a So before I change, as you can see, it can detect text, it can read text, and it also can, the same thing that I did, but in the more fancier version. And also it can describe the emotion from the faces that it can detect on the photo. So let's see if we can quickly. Yes, sorry.
So that demo was non-carbon or was it?
The one that I showed, my demo, the video.
Yeah.
The video was produced a few years ago when they were building Seeing AI app.
Okay, so it wasn't a mock-up, but it was more non-production proof of concept sort of thing.
It was back then, yes, but now it's a reality. There is an app that you can use.
You got the voice describing a static scene after the picture was taken.
Yes.
So, I guess ideally you'd have some sort of dialogue going on in your ear when you're moving that glass. So
That's what.
you'd have video rather than static picture.
As I understand, as I know, it's not real time, so it's almost real time. So it has a latency. So either it's a video, there will be a latency to translate or detect, or if it's a photo, it's the same. I'm sure they're improving it. I haven't checked the latest version, but yes, you're correct. The best way, or the ideal version, would be if it would be real time. I'm sure with the future, or maybe it's already on the market. I haven't checked. It's already available. I've seen a video on machine learning and AI that it will create. It's like a virtual thing.
Custom vision API can do this. You can train that model and you can see it on a real time, real time for Microsoft Cognitive Services.
And videos or image? Okay, good to know.
A lot of this stuff can be exported to third-party systems, so you can use QueryML and TensorFlow to some APIs, and some of them can run in Docker containers on the edge, so you don't have to run it up in the cloud.
Yeah. So custom vision also allows you to download the model and run it offline, so you don't have to use or
short text.
subscribe to
How can
Cognitive
I?
Services.
Oh, volume is here. Sorry.
Choose your phone.
No, it didn't work. I tried last time. It should be that, right? The volume. No. I should try with your face. Langa, person.
One face near top edge less than a meter away.
Give me 8! 8!
Person.
Okay, Do again.
One face near center 1 meters away.
Doesn't detect your, I'm sure it has features.
Recognize new person.
Not mine. Sorry.
One face near center less than 1 meter away.
Everything's meter.
One face near top edge 1 meters away.
Okay, if I move around.
4 faces.
So let's see if we can detect the product.
3 faces.
Okay, I know that.
4 faces. 0 faces.
0 faces. Good. That's what I want. All right.
Document.
Okay, let me see if I can give me the. Oh, it has a scene as well. Let's see.
Scene preview.
Okay.
What's the last option, live?
Processing. A group of people sitting at a table in a room.
Good to know. Maybe
Color
cold.
preview. Black and brown. Black.
Yeah, as you move your photo, it will tell you.
Black
Can I
and brown.
get the brown?
Gray and black.
Okay.
Brown.
Let's see if we
Short
can.
text.
Should I use the?
Presence. New meeting.
I haven't started. Hang on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Go. Go. Dark chocolate. Go. Oh. Go.
That's good enough to buy.
Now the good thing is, yeah, you can change the language, so you can ask it to read it in different languages. I'm not sure if they have the translation on it. Let's give it a go. Again, this version was old when I downloaded, so Italiano maybe.
New.
I haven't.
Dial pad. Gold. Old. Gold. The ancient Mayans became the world's first chocolate lovers after discovering the new earth of natural sweetness of gold.
I guess it's translating. Do we have any Italian speaker? It sounds like Italian, so I'm not sure. But that's how it works. So it has feedback, so you can provide your feedbacks and they will improve it. Lights?
Light.
Detect the amount of the lights around you.
I should say here is a dark area or
I don't know.
light area or we are in
Yes, if you're
visual.
visually impaired, you don't know how long the dark area is.
Oh yes, that's true. Okay. Any other features that you want to try out?
If you're vision impaired, you want the camera to be able to see the light. So if there's no light, the camera can't see to describe it to you.
It should say.
Attachments that you see in the dark, so maybe you can consider that.
Not pitch dark. But yeah.
Anyway, it's going to analyze the camera input. So if the camera input is a good,
Comes up with a different sounding on the light. It's interesting.
it's dark or very dark.
Oh, it makes different noise on the light. Oh, that's cool. Okay. All right, let's get back on the actual stuff. But try it out. It's really cool. And especially for the people with needs, it is helpful. For us, it might not seem that good enough because we may not need those things, but for the people who actually are in need of these features, it will help them out to go by their daily stuff. Okay, I have a couple more slides to go and then we'll be done for this. Okay, if you want to know more, as I said, lots of resources available. The first thing that I went on was Microsoft documentation, and it has lots of, so if you go to /learn, there are lots of information on the cognitive services that you can use. It has lots of sample code that you can just copy and paste and start using. It is working, and that's how I got this demo to work. It didn't take that much time of me to write that one when I understood what to look for. When you go to the documentation, it will list down all the features that each API has. So you can't pick the one that is useful to you, and it will serve your need.
More real world sample you can find in Microsoft
Oh, that one. I should have put that in. Any other question? Sorry?
AI school.
Oh, there are more information on AI school that if you are interested, you can go and you can learn it for free, I hope. Yes. Any other question for me tonight? Yes.
Is it able to understand context as of now? So, for example, the photo with the chocolate ingredients. We're expecting to see. Okay, so this is a back cover of a food item. We expect to see a section of ingredients, and then there's going to be another table with nutrition values.
The thing is, my phone was really close. So if you wanted like a better description of that, you have to like put it out so it can detect. So it wasn't. I was trying to zoom in out because I had the connector on. So if you try to get it in the right section, it should pick up the right things. Same as the video that it showed you. So it could pick up the menu, it could pick up the headers of the food menu, and it could read it out for you. So it really depends how you define that. And he was using the same thing. It was just integrated with his smart glasses that he has.
The context, this is your context here. So it's telling you by looking at that photo that it's a black and white photo of a city. So that's the context. So here, if you did it with the chocolate, it may not say this is a chocolate bar. If you wanted it to, you could train it to recognise specific types of chocolate.
But if there was like a sentence or a few words which were ambiguous, it would understand what it's about.
Yep.
Filling in the gaps as well.
So PowerPoint also has a bunch of this stuff built into it now. So when you drop images into a PowerPoint will actually tell you what the image is. So say it's a logo or a photo. So we're using this stuff in our own products to help add features and capabilities. Tell me instead of the chocolate bar.
It says, because I took this photo, so it says, it seems to be person, floor, book, indoor text, or food.
Food. Okay.
Yeah.
Context is a hard one to solve. Like the gentleman was asking you about, can you tell based on the voice the emotion of the person speaking?
Processing.
Question or no?
A group of people in a room.
That sort of emotion is hard to capture in a machine learning model like this, because for us in the room, when we hear people speaking English, we can tell when they're nervous, we can tell when they're angry, or we can assume they're nervous or angry based on the type of the tenor of their voice and their confidence. But in other cultures and other languages, what we might take for someone who's nervous or angry might just be a standard speech pattern. What you could potentially do is take speech to text, and then based on the types of words somebody is saying, generally when you're angry you use certain types of words and you probably speak with a much higher cadence and maybe with a louder tone. But sorry to steal your thunder.
That's fine. You're adding value.
Azure Cognitive Services provide you with pre-built models that solve the most generic of situations that apply for most of what we would do out of the box. If you need to build custom models, you're either taking one of these services and customizing it using the customization capabilities, or you're building a fresh model from scratch. So the emotions in voice is a hard one. Certainly emotions in video and images is a much easier proposition. You can generally tell when someone's sad or angry or happy or what have you, but it's a bit harder with voice. But voice to text, you could probably do analysis on text with Lewis, the language understanding stuff Sonia was talking about, to figure out intent.
As a video recognition, it did seem to me that it was just making a shot of what it says in the video. It was, despite that it did look like it's protesting the video, but how it invoiced it did look like it just taking a shot, speaking through whatever the most recognizable topics are, and then once finished speaking, take another shot and take a shot again. It's like zero memory.
So what's a video made up of? Frames.
So what I'm coming to, is it capable of detecting not what the video right now in a static scene, but what is new, what is changing in the video? Because the way if I was blind, would rather say this person entered the scene or this vehicle is now, instead of describing all the scene like there is a building staying street and then coming back to the vehicle crossing each
and you can index the video as well. And again, using the custom version, you would be able to train your API to do that. It really depends how you define your header and the information that you want from the API.
Again, the post-processing of the output to say that is a difference with the previous output, and you can say that was changed, or it is the whole API gets trained to pick up the difference, because the performance of API can be sufficiently different, right?
Yeah. So again, there's probably general object detection, but for a use case which might be stopping people getting run over by vehicles, or avoiding tricky situations, you may need to build a custom model to suit that scenario. Because the Vision AI or the Computer AI service has a limited set of scenarios that it's been trained to either recognise or understand, and that may not apply to your particular scenario. And there's confidence level attached to all of this as well, right? So it's never going to give you more than a 90% confidence level over anything. It's giving you more than 99%, then you've probably got an overfitted model that's really good at only recognising one scenario.
But in a nutshell, it's still recognition of the static images.
Well, a video stream is a series of static images. It's 25 frames a second. So
In a nutshell, it's a difference between images. It's a crude difference between images.
sure. It's object detection between frames.
Well, how mine is working, just as you know, is a difference whether processing each image
Sure.
from scratch.
Sorry.
It's all good. Thank you. Yes.
That covers the app which is in App Store.
Yes.
Completely covered by Azure services?
Yes, it is. And I'm not sure if I've got the latest version, but that was the version that I had. I'm sure they're adding more features to it. That was almost it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.